Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to Elevēo's Tech Talk for May 2021. My name is Nicole Price, and I am Elevēo's Director of Product Commercialization and Strategy. Today, the subject of our Tech Talk is the value proposition of workforce management, and to lead us in our conversation is Ethan Bryant, Elevēo's Manager of Training and Consulting for the Americas. Ethan has spent 20 years in the workforce management field and has consulted on an assortment of enterprise and commercial solutions in the workforce management field. Ethan has also worked on both sides of the equation, having spent quite some time as a workforce management administrator in a global contact center. As we go through our tech talk today, feel free to put your comments or questions into the chat. We'll try to answer them as we go along, but we'll certainly host a Q&A as we head towards the end of our time together. With that, let's turn our time over to Ethan for his tech talk. Ethan?
All right. Thank you so very much, Nicole. Okay, so yeah, definitely. Today, we will be going through, of course, the tech talk, which will focus on WFM, specifically realizing an impactful ROI from schedule adherence. Right before diving into that, however, I wanted to back up just for a second and talk a little bit about why organizations get workforce management to begin with, right? A few of those reasons involve scheduling the right number of people with the right skills at the right time, of course, meeting their service level goals, agreements, controlling overhead, of course, and through regulating occupancy, mitigating attrition. Right? All of these things are important, and a good WFM system can easily help you achieve them by taking what's happened in the past, predicting how customers are likely to interact with their agents, both when and for how long in the future. It's effectively a crystal ball, right? And while certainly not always right, it's amazing how predictable people can truly be. Once you have this information, you can more efficiently plan when your agent should go to break, lunch, meetings, one-on-ones, all of those types of things. It can help you better meet the busiest times of your days and weeks, while taking advantage of the slower times in your days for those off-phone activities. An optimized schedule based on an accurate forecast is certainly a return on investment all in and to of itself, and won't even be counted in what I'll talk about here in just a moment. Instead, we'll focus specifically on schedule adherence and how a return on investment can be realized just from that. So how can schedule adherence help with all of these things that we just talked about? Pretty simple. It helps make scheduling actionable and coachable. The best schedules mean nothing whatsoever if people aren't actually adhering to them, right? And schedule adherence can be critical to the success of workforce management in any organization, most especially to those that haven't had a workforce management solution prior to implementing the current one. Why so? Well, if they're not currently using any type of forecasting or scheduling, or perhaps they're using something somewhat rudimentary like Excel in order to, or maybe just an Erlang calculator, they're probably far more reactive right now than they are proactive. In such situations, schedules are typically more a suggestion rather than something that the agents are actually held accountable to throughout their day. Because supervisors in those situations tend to only have a general idea of when spikes within their volume tend to occur, they often send agents to break or lunch or other types of off-phone activities based on how busy it is at any given moment, rather than something that they plan for, right? Or can plan for accurately. I've even known contact centers to dynamically reskill their agents based on those types of spikes within different skills. I've seen that happen. So all of this means that it tends to inspire a culture starting from the top down, right? That has told the agent that adhering to the schedule as written really isn't that terribly important, right? Because of this, adherence is often a sea change within an organization, and the metric of schedule adherence can help facilitate this change. The KPI of schedule adherence can help guide the conversation from the top of the organization down and ensure everyone is on the same page. Coupled with other metrics like occupancy and service level, it can quickly prove its value. And if paired with programs like gamification, the process of introducing it to agents may prove easier and far more effective. But let's bring it all back to return on investment, shall we? Imagine a contact center where to meet a service level agreement of 85% in 20 seconds, I need 15 agents, actually cheeks and seats, right, in order to meet this. So if I have them, then I have a very acceptable service level of 88%. I've got an occupancy of 71%, an ASA, very good of 11, 12 seconds, and an abandon rate of 3%, right? But if I lose just one agent to adherence purposes, then suddenly I'm missing my adherence. It's all the way down to 80%, right? Two agents down for adherence reasons, just two, and suddenly my service level drops down to 65%, right? And I see my ASA shoot up to 55 seconds, quite an increase with just two agents. Three agents and my service level plummets down to 44%. My occupancy is now in the danger zone territory, right, of burnout at an 89%. My ASA is in three-digit territories at 145 seconds. And my abandon rate is in double-digit territories with 11%. Four agents where I am out of adherence, and suddenly I'm only making 13% of my calls within the service level agreement that I have. I'm almost at 100% occupancy. My ASA is at a staggering 852 seconds, and my abandon rate is at 15%, right? So all of these numbers have costs associated with them, right? Dollars that are hidden there. It's an industry standard truism that sustained occupancy over 85% causes substantial increase in attrition due to agent burnout. And agent turnover is expensive, right? A recent Deloitte study estimated that the average cost to replace a single agent, estimating recruitment, training, all of those things, was about $12,000. A recent Cornell University study suggested that contact centers spend about 16% of their gross annual earnings replacing agents or single agent. So quite a cost associated with burning agents out due to things like this. And what about abandon rate? For contact centers that potentially earn a sale or additional business off those calls, or perhaps upsales, that's lost revenue whenever you have abandons like that, right? What about high ASA? So this implies a high customer effort, which may result in customers that are likely to become detractors of the company, right? Telling friends, family, neighbors all about their negative experience attempting to get a hold of an agent. Imagine waiting, in a queue 852 seconds, right? Not to mention the possibility of increased phone costs because of having customers sit longer in an IVR queue, just waiting to get a hold of an agent. So all of these are costs to consider when having people that are not adhering to a schedule. What about another perspective to consider and another way to look at the cost associated with this? In this example, let's look at a 20 agent contact center where the agents are making about 12 bucks an hour working just Monday through Friday, right? Prior to rolling out adherence, let's say that they're at about 60% adherence, which is definitely within the realm of possibility. Not very surprising, right, prior to rolling out adherence. With this in mind, we'll calculate a daily rate just based on the salary, not including benefits or anything like that. So just taking that and assuming that 7 hours of that day is spent working, so we're not really counting the breaks and lunches, right? So calculating at that, then we're going to say 40% of that total daily rate of which is 1,680, 1,680 equals about $672, right? Funds that we're just not getting back. We're losing to adherence issues, right? If we calculate that against 260, which is the work days in a year for a contact center working Monday through Friday, that's going to equal out to be about 174,720 that we're losing to adherence issues alone. So what if we roll out schedule adherence? And with that, we'll say we have 90% adherence as our goal. 90% adherence is actually pretty low. A lot of contact centers are going more towards a 95 or 96% adherence. But let's just say 90%. And let's say in that 6 months time period, we've really done our job with coaching and we've gotten our agents to that 90%. So now with those same figures, we've reduced that loss, that daily rate loss to $168. So with that now, 260 days against that daily rate loss, we've lowered that to 43,680. So subtract that from that original figure of 174,720, and I've now calculated a savings of over $130,000, right? And by rolling out schedule adherence and by getting my agents to actually adhere to the schedule that they're assigned, right? So with all of this being said, schedule adherence is really only one of several factors that companies should consider when factoring a return on investment for a WFM solution. It's just one of the easier ones to calculate and to realize very quickly when doing so. As a consultant, I often encourage companies, so the customers themselves that purchase this, to take a snapshot of where they are prior to rolling out adherence and compare it to where they are 6 months after they deploy it. It provides one of those rare but appreciated aha moments when companies can appreciate just how far they've come and how quickly. Plus, it's an easy way to show leadership from the end user point of view, just how much of return on investment they've actually done, right? In a very short period of time. So it gives those end users that are actually using the product a great sense of satisfaction, right? Look what I've done and look how far I've come. So, all right. Thank you so very much. And I will turn this back over to Nicole.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ethan. I think you've done a great job of showing us how shifting to a real adherence model, using adherence tools, moving away from Excel can really help to move the needle and, provide some great cost avoidance, cost savings for an organization, which, I think is pretty significant, especially if you're starting off not measuring it, moving to a place where you can really enable it. So I'll go ahead and thank you, Ethan, so much for your time today and for all of our Tech Talk participants for joining us today. I hope you've learned something new. Please send us any feedback on the session today. Was it useful for you or not? We welcome all feedback so that we can make these well for you in the future. And we'll thank everybody for joining and have a great rest of your day.
Elevēo. Elevate every encounter.